At its peak, the Indus Valley civilization built megacities across 1 million square kilometers, using grid planning and standardized baked bricks. For decades, the 20th century historiography strongly argued that these massive urban centers met a sudden and incredibly violent end. Archaeologists like Mortimer Wheeler popularized the Aryan invasion theory, suggesting foreign pastoralists entered the subcontinent and destroyed the local civilizations. Recent physical evidence provides a different timeline. Researchers are now synthesizing data from 3 specific disciplines: archaeogenetics, isotopic paleoclimatology, and orbital remote sensing. This evidence suggests that the collapse of the Bronze Age cities was a process of relocation rather than destruction. Many Harappan ruins now sit within the Thar Desert, a landscape where surface water is virtually non-existent. To understand how these cities once thrived, the Indian Space Research Organization used deep penetrating radar to scan beneath the desert floor. The resulting data indicates that the civilization survived by executing a massive, systematic migration eastward. This timeline tracks the transition of these populations into the OCP Copper Hoard culture. They successfully replaced their geography while maintaining their cultural identity. The biological, geological, and climatic records from this era allow us to map this transition with forensic precision. The Harappan record is defined by a capacity to adapt to a hostile, shifting environment. At the Rakhigarhi site, geneticists successfully extracted ancient DNA from individuals who lived between 2800 and 2300 BCE during the civilization's mature phase. Researchers analyzed this DNA using admixture, a method that traces the ancestral components of a population. This chart shows that the mature Harappan profile is a mixture of Iranian-related ancestry, accounting for 50 to 98%, and native Andamanese hunter-gatherers. The data shows an absolute absence of steppe pastoralist DNA during the timeline of the supposed invasion. These specific steppe markers only appear in the subcontinent centuries after the urban deurbanization phase was already complete. The total lack of biological traces from invaders during the urban phase renders the invasion theory empirically impossible. Sustaining a Bronze Age megacity required a massive, predictable hydrological baseline. This satellite map illustrates the Paleo-Channel network uncovered by ISRO. These ancient riverbeds measure between 6 and 8 kilometers wide. This network, the Vedic Saraswati, once flowed from its glacial origins in the Suwalak Hills down to the Arabian Sea. Around 3,700 years ago, severe tectonic shifts triggered a process called river piracy. Uplift in the Aravalli Range and movement along the Yamuna Tir Fault altered the landscape's tilt, physically buckling the terrain. This redirecting the Yamuna eastward into the Ganges system and diverting the Sutlej westward into the Indus. The urban infrastructure remained intact, but the glacial water supply that fed it had been physically redirected by tectonic shifts. This geological crisis overlapped with the 4.2 kiloyear event, a period of global aerification. Paleoclimatologists reconstruct ancient rainfall patterns by measuring isotopes trapped in ancient lakebed sediments. This graph plots those reconstructions. At the 2200 BC marker, the summer monsoon enters a precipitous long-term decline. Shortly after, the data shows a failure of the winter rains. This created a period of maximum aridity, a double drought. Without rain or glacial runoff, the Ghaggar-Hakra system retracted, making inundation agriculture impossible. The intersection of tectonic river piracy and global drought made sustaining dense urban centers mathematically impossible. Facing ecological collapse, the Harappan population responded with a strategic survival maneuver. This map shows the density of the mature urban phase, with cities heavily clustered in the western river basins. A push-pull migration followed. Populations were pushed out by drought and pulled east toward more reliable monsoon zones. Large cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were abandoned, as smaller settlements proliferated in Gujarat and the Ganga-Yamuna interfluve. This process of deurbanization resulted in the loss of city-level infrastructure, but not the loss of the people. The uniform whites, complex administrative seals, and the formal Indus script, all dependent on urban bureaucracy, were left behind. However, cultural systems survived. Agricultural techniques, fire worship, and ceramic traditions were carried directly into the OCP Copper Hoard culture. This record confirms the continuity of the population. The people simply replaced their geography to survive. The Harappan record shows a society that successfully outmaneuvered climate change through large-scale relocation. This illustrates a civilization capable of maintaining its fundamental cultural systems while entirely replacing its landscape.